What's going on? Justin Davis here with my man Meelz. We are on the A Show. I almost forgot the name of the show. We're not on location. I damn near forgot the name of the show. Like, there's so much stuff going on right now.
Listen, you just got home. We're just doing this on the fly. This is another Thursday classic, just flying by the seat of our pants.
Yeah.
So we're here. We're here with the A Show.
Yeah.
The only show you need to be listening to, pretty much. Only wrestling show you really need to be listening to.
Period, dude. And this is the sixth episode of this show. Can you believe that?
Look at that. 6 weeks. How did we ever manage?
Where we've come, man.
Oh, man. But we're here. How was your Thanksgiving last week? It seems like ages ago. Thanksgiving seemed like 2 weeks ago.
Like, the way that things happen in this world, like, it just gets forgotten about immediately.
Yeah. I completely forgot about Thanksgiving. I didn't burn anything. If anyone's, like, wondering what happened last week.
Oh, yes.
I didn't. Yeah. Everything actually came out really, really good. So
we needed an update on that, like, ASAP.
Yeah, just, I'm here. Like, nothing's burned down. Everything's pretty solid and cool and everything like that. So, yeah, how was your Thanksgiving? Very good. Thanksgiving in LA. You're doing this for how many years now?
This is my third Thanksgiving here. It's pretty good. Pretty good. No, it's not. Is it my? Yeah, it's my third. Oh my God, I've almost been here for 3 years. Yeah, it's pretty good. I house hopped. Did my thug thizzle on the plates, and then did some Black Friday shopping, and just relaxed for the rest of the weekend. Really, like, it was a pretty chill Thanksgiving. I played a bunch of video games, so I bought so many video games over the past week. I have no clue how I'm gonna play or beat any of them.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
I like it.
I have no clue. Like, I'm literally like coming home. I'm trying to like unwind. I'm like, I gotta run at least an hour of one of these games today. And 2 games are really long. I got Assassin's Creed, the new one. That game's like 50 hours long. I don't even know.
I'm not a gamer. I gave up gaming a long time ago. I'll be honest with you.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It's very, very weird.
Wow.
But I never really got into it, and then I gave it up.
I but you play Pokemon.
This is true. This is literally one of the most. I bought the latest one. It's like, I play it when I have time. It's not something that I'm like, oh, I gotta finish this. It's like, all right, I got 45 minutes on the train. Let me level up something, and then I'll go about my day not playing it again. It's really not good.
But it works. It works. It works for like people who work in New York or who live and work and commute in New York, because you're always on the train. You can't be at home all the time.
100%. 100%. I'm on a train. I got an hour commute between work and home, so I have time to play it. But sometimes I also don't feel like playing it. Sometimes I feel like running through, podcasts, listening to podcasts, reading up on articles, all this other shit. But it is what it is.
But like, what's weird with podcasts? Do you listen? And this is something I just like found out. Did you listen to podcasts in like 2 times speed or 1/4 speed?
No, because it kind of ruins the magic for me.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of like how people normally speak. I'm a person who loves conversation. Like, I love conversation. I love learning about different people and perspectives and all that other stuff. And like, kind of rushing through it kind of, the voice doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound genuine, which is probably the thing that irks me subtly. But I don't know. Everything just moves too fast. It's not good. I don't listen to it double speed at all. I tried to do that this morning, and I was listening to a wrestling podcast, and shout out to John Pollock and Wei Ting. Spoke to Wei for a little bit last week. They were actually trying to figure out if Enzo's Supreme robe was real, and so I hit them up. I hit them up on Twitter, like, hey guys, I love the show, like, super huge fan. This is a podcast that I love and I listen to weekly. Shout out to them and everything that they've done, even with leaving the Fight Network in the past month. But I was like, hey guys, it's real. It's a real
robe, and just shout out to you guys for even mentioning or trying to research Supreme, because I'm a huge Supreme fan. And then Way says, like, it's so scary and crazy to me that like industry experts actually listen to our show. And I was like, as crazy as it is for Way to think that I'm an industry fucking expert, it's crazier for me that, for him to fucking respond to me. He's a legend. But yeah, shout out to Wei Ting and John Pollock. They're another podcast that is. If we're the only podcast you should listen to, that's the only podcast that you should listen to after you listen to this podcast. I'll say that much. Easy. But yeah, I listened to their podcast in 2 times speed today, and I was like, this is fucking weird. They sound like chipmunks. How do people do this?
Yeah, I don't like it. I feel like now we're talking in 2 times speed, but then again, I feel like we're just like, we got like high adrenaline rush thing going on right now. But I feel like I can't listen to 2 times speed. Not even like 1.25. I can't do that either. Yeah, it's very weird.
I think that go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, yo, should we get into things for the week? We got a lot to cover.
Oh yeah, we have a very stacked week, very exciting week in wrestling. Let's just go right ahead to No Holds Barred. The newest Marine movie is filming right now, and it has taken so many WWE talents to go film this movie for the next 6 weeks. And we're talking from, of course, The Miz, who lost the IC title, Becky Lynch, who was written off SmackDown last week, Naomi, who was written off SmackDown this week. Am I missing anyone? Is Sheamus in it?
No, I think Sheamus, they made something up for Sheamus. I don't know.
But this is the 6th Marine movie, which is insane that they've gotten this crazy and this many entries.
Yeah, you think they would film more See No Evils than Marines, but apparently Marine is like a nice little cool franchise they got going on. That they sort of rotate WWE stars every now and then. It's good to see The Miz there. Becky Lynch getting some opportunities. Becky Lynch is someone who's like worn many, many hats. Has been a stunt woman in the past, so that's cool that she kind of gets to have a role. Shawn Michaels is there.
Oh, Shawn Michaels is in it.
Shawn Michaels, they're just testing out. It was like, oh, he's got nothing to do. He's down in Full Sail. Let's just have him film a movie or something along those lines. But
will they CGI his lazy eye?
Wow, you really went there. I would imagine. I would imagine he'd be wearing sunglasses. Some cool guy. Nah, I don't know.
Is he gonna wear he's gonna wear the tight pants, the tight hunter pants?
Potentially. Crazy, man.
But I love to see the WWE still making, still has a film division, and they still allow talents to do these movies. I think it's cool to get to at least give them a cool 6-week stretch where they don't have to be bumping and shit like that all day. They'll have stuntmen.
Can I talk about the overkill on like Naomi's injury?
Oh, we'll talk about that on SmackDown, because I want to talk about that too. It damn near felt like a hate crime, but yeah, we can go to that on SmackDown. The next point of news is the David Otunga Jennifer Hudson drama, so to speak. Have you been following this at all?
Really, not very. I guess very, very lightly, but. Last week, I guess it was reported that they were David Otunga and divorce, and she wanted sole custody of the children. He fought against it and said, hey, actually, no, I'm actually more home than often, and I'm the one who's really there. It got kind of nasty, especially when you get children involved.
She said that he was violent to her and the child also.
Right. Which at the point in the beginning, I was just like, this is something. Jennifer Hudson is someone who pretty much watched a stranger, or at least someone that she knew, kill a lot of members in her family. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure of her mind state in terms of all those things, and it was just like, hey, this could become a situation again.
Well, no, she didn't see that. She didn't see it. Remember when it was supposed to happen, David had asked her to come to Florida where he was training to come see her. She could have been in the house. Yeah, she actually credits him for saving her life, which is nuts.
I don't know. I was thinking of that sort of aspect of like the mind state of her. So I assumed that, but then I don't think it's necessarily true. But I don't know the hard.
You never
details
know.
on it.
Nowadays, you never know. But just break. David's been off of TV for quite a while. And in the article, which is why I put this on the news this week. I believe it was TMZ said he's an ex WWE superstar. But that hasn't been announced. And that hasn't been announced anywhere.
Ooh. I don't know if TMZ just didn't get their facts right. Maybe just like ex WWE wrestler, because he's not a wrestler anymore. But that's interesting.
Very interesting.
But WWE and TMZ kind of have that link anyway.
Exactly. That's exactly why I was thinking that was interesting, because they'd either announce that. And here's the thing, if he gets convicted, he's suspended anyway. So would they cut their losses, or would they just suspend David and just keep him out of the company forever?
It depends how valuable he is, because I know he also, but beyond just being, a talking head on the panel before pay-per-views, I believe he's part of at least a legal consultant or something along those lines for WWE. I'm not sure. I haven't actually seen his position there, but it depends just how valuable he is to the company. I mean, he is a Harvard graduate. He is a lawyer. He is, someone who knows wrestling and who's worked with WWE and who's very, knowledgeable on certain things. So it depends how valuable he is, but WWE's been cutting a lot of people lately, so I wouldn't be surprised if he, they're just like, hey, we're just going to sever ties for now. Yeah. Maybe we'll call you back in 6 months, maybe we'll call you back in a year, but we're just going to, this entire thing is getting too messy now, and we might just sever ties, but who knows? We haven't seen an official announcement. We haven't seen, WWE has released, nor do I think at this time it would be appropriate or even tasteful to kind of just
fire him
situation,
out, right?
Yeah, just to fire him, unless all the facts are presented. But yeah, that's an interesting note.
Yeah, because she actually Jennifer also pulled the restraining order. She basically redacted it yesterday. So the story is getting weirder and weirder. There's a lot of allegations that I don't think are really tasteful to say that are out there about her in particular. Mm-hmm. But I just hope it just clears up for everybody's sake. Last point on No Holds Barred. Drew McIntyre will be out for 4 to 6 months. This was confirmed literally 2 weeks after TakeOver, which is really odd, the timing of that. But it's a bicep tear, as we all thought, and he will be out until at least WrestleMania, I'd imagine.
Unless he has some Super Cena powers where he just being able to heal really, really quickly. But I don't think that's the type of injury that you, especially the bicep, where it's a muscle, it's a voluntary muscle. It's something that you use often. If you're lifting, you're throwing, you're pushing, you're everything. Everything sort of in the wrestling world goes through your sort of bicep and other muscles. So it's needed. And the fact that it even took 2 weeks to get a sort of medical analysis because they had to wait for the swelling goes down makes me think that maybe this injury is a little bit more intense than, just a one that we've seen before with Rusev or Scott Dawson or something.
Yeah, or I mean, Revival just now, they're coming back next month. Poor guys at the Revival, 2 injuries, ill-fated injuries, literally as soon as they get back, both times, and they've been on the main roster for a year, and I don't think people have realized that yet.
But I think once it's just a matter of time. I think they're very valuable as a team, and WWE is just willing to wait for them to come back. But in terms of just Drew McIntyre, what do you think should be the next move with Drew? Do we insert him back in the NXT scene?
No. I feel as though, especially just looking at what NXT looks like right now from these amazing looking tapings that they just shot and they just ended about 5 minutes ago, I always felt as though the plan was to have him go and finish the Cole feud and then have him leave and go and get called up on the Raw after Mania or SmackDown after Mania. And I think that should be the plan. I think you just let him go and then maybe let him have a farewell match on NXT like they usually do for call-ups. But Drew doesn't need to be down there any longer. They're fine without him.
They usually do.
Yeah, they're fine without Drew.
100%.
I don't think you call him back. And
it's sad that it happened.
Yeah, super sad. It sucks, but in a way, that's a silver lining. This is the perfect way to debut him. No one will have seen him since, and he can just show up and he'll be a complete surprise.
Right.
But
100%.
but
3MB reunion, who knows?
And speaking of NXT, I cannot stress this enough. Watch this show from next week all the way on to the new year. These next 4 weeks sound fucking incredible. For the show, for the brand, for the show as a whole, there are some excellent matches that they're putting on, and I'm hearing one of the matches is probably one of the best matches at Full Sail ever. So watch NXT for the next 4 weeks. It's going to be crazy.
Everything's sort of critical. From what I've read, everything's critical. Usually the tapings after pay-per-views, it's kind of a lull until things really start pushing forward until the following pay-per-view. But everything here seems critical.
Yeah.
They're moving into the new year pretty strong. They're moving the break between Survivor Series and Royal Rumble isn't that long, so a lot of things are the pace is just moving very, very quickly, and it's something you're not going to want to miss. I think we're going to end up covering NXT in the next 4 weeks a lot more than
usual. Yeah,
more than we do usually.
Yeah, it swerved me. Let's just say that, and I can usually call this shit, and it swerved me right up to the last fucking match too, which I'm kind of upset about, but I like the idea. But to our next point, and we brought this up last week, and as an aside, and I just really want to talk about this shit, Meelz. Can we talk about this shit?
Let's talk about it, because I last week we ended off. I recommended a pay-per-view, No Way Out 2001.
Yeah.
And in passing, I mentioned, hey, there was that 3 Stages of Hell match between Stone Cold Steve Austin and Triple H, and it's a rare occasion where Stone Cold Steve Austin takes a loss. And we wanted to spin that in sort of discussion in terms of just like Stone Cold Steve Austin and I guess his win-loss record and everything, and how he's been built and how he's not, and everything sort of in between. I don't think we're going to go super comprehensive,
no,
but it's worth noting at least.
Let's keep it a buck.
You think.
Let's keep it a buck. You want to talk about Roman Reigns?
Charles Barkley, let's start a dialogue.
Yeah, you want to talk Roman Reigns? You want to talk John Cena? You want to talk Hulk Hogan? You want to talk Randy Orton even at points in his career? My dude, they lost more clean. I think Roman Reigns lost more clean in the last year and a half than maybe John Cena and Stone Cold combined. You want to know how many times Stone Cold Steve Austin lost clean as a face? 5 times. 5 times, Meal. 5.
Let's name them. Let's go down the list.
I'll go down the list here. The first one was at Canadian Stampede, which was like I believe it was a Canadian only at the time pay-per-view.
Right.
He lost to Owen Hart clean in a tag match.
He had to lose. He had to lose
that. Yeah, it was too many people in that match that they
was
couldn't.
He pinned? He was pinned in that match?
He was pinned by Owen. He was pinned by Owen clean as a sheet in that match.
Wow, okay. They had so many other guys they could have pinned.
and just obviously Brett wasn't going to get pinned in that match, but like the next time he lost as a face was a year later, a whole year. Breakdown 98. Undertaker versus Kane versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Undertaker and Kane couldn't pin each other. They had to pin Austin to win the WWF title, but Austin could pin either of them to retain it. Undertaker, I'm pretty sure everyone knows the finish to this. Undertaker and Kane, they both performed. I think it was a chokeslam on him. And they both got on top.
That weird double pin where they're like back to back and folding arms and just smirking. I think. But they did that back to back pin where I'm just like, okay, all right. Obviously, you guys thought this through in terms of how you're going to do this. But
Horse shit. They made him look like he was fucking Superman in that match. They made Austin. He was beating up the Undertaker and Kane in one match.
But he was red hot, man. Like
Ain't nobody that damn red hot. Not even Hogan was that damn red hot.
This is true. Listen.
His next loss, and to me, this is the most egregious loss and sequence of matches for a top guy ever. There's no, other than Hogan, there's no sequence of matches that are so more obvious as to what was going on than this. Okay, let's set the stage here. SummerSlam 99, and yes, a year and a half since until Austin loses again, by the way. SummerSlam 99. You have Austin. Fuck that. You have Triple H, white hot heel, the biggest heel in the fucking company. Biggest.
He broke Jim Ross's hand just days before that. I remember that. He broke Jim Ross's hand with a sledgehammer. It was crazy.
Biggest heel. I think Triple H in 99 was probably one of the best heels to me. Just as a young person, even when I look back on it as an adult, he was fucking devious. You don't get any better than that run that he had. Right. I think his 99 into 2000 run, some of the best he's ever done. I think that run solidified him as what he is today. I'll say that much.
Right. Let's do that.
So, of course, you think, Austin's the biggest babyface in the world, biggest star in the world. WCW's on the way out. You're winning.
He's the WWE champion.
Yeah, and you think to make this feud hot, lose, right? Lose to him. To chase the title. So you can chase the title going into the fall and into Mania season. You'll run into, whatever. Of course, Austin got hurt before that, but you're running to a really good feud. That's not what happened.
Even the more reason to drop, you're hurt.
Exactly. He was hurt the whole time. No. SummerSlam 99 turns into, I believe, a three-way match.
Yes.
Mankind, Steve Austin, and Triple H. Steve Austin loses to Mankind clean. A face. Another face.
Just inserted in the match, which is crazy.
Who was inserted last minute into the match. So, and before we even get to that, the next night in Lima.
Lima. This is something we bring up a lot. And Lima where?
Iowa, I believe.
Jesus Christ. That's middle America. That's smack dab. That's right there in the trenches.
Hold on, Lima. Yo, no, I'm sorry. It's Lima, Ohio. Shout out to Ben Coyle. Lima, Ohio. He probably been in Lima. He probably met some dames out there.
Sure.
Lima, Ohio.
Shout out to Ben Coyle.
Mankind drops the title to Triple H. What kind of bullshit? Listen, you can complain about LOL Cena wins, LOL Roman wins all the time. When it was time to take that pinfall to the hot heel, they did it. And they've done it every time.
One thing I've noticed about Stone Cold, more so than, and it's with a lot of sort of characters on top, and I think it's also something that was with Bret Hart. Very, very protective of his character. Very, very. He knows when he feels like he should lose and when he shouldn't lose, but he really didn't lose often, or he didn't lose clean.
He never lost ever.
The original plan for that match, I know, it wasn't initially supposed to even be Triple H versus Stone Cold. It was supposed to be Stone Cold versus Chyna.
Yeah.
They had already set her up as the number one contender, and then they took it away from her, and then it was supposed to be Austin versus Triple H, and then it turns to Austin versus Mankind. He's someone who's very critical, and it hasn't quite been explained yet of the reason why. I know everyone hints like, there's heat between Triple H and Stone Cold and all this other things, but it hasn't really been made clear why, and I don't think either men at this point of their lives really want to go into it, because I think just back in that era, it was kind of a little bit more cutthroat, a little bit more competition, it was a little bit more everything, and people were, people didn't necessarily have the best relationships, even though they, haven't explicitly said it. But
it's fucked up, man. Let's just call a spade a spade. It's fucked up. Like, you put over a guy to make him look strong. You have to make Triple H look strong. He just beat God, basically, in the WWF.
Right.
He just beat him and let him win clean. That's just how you do it.
It's to set up a story.
What? No, Meelz. There was no story after that. There was no story after that.
There was absolutely no story.
He got hurt. It wasn't the car shit was right after that, wasn't it?
That his neck injury was was worse than they originally thought, and they just decided to go for the surgery. So they wrote him off about a couple months later. But he was still he was still around. He was doing guest referee spots. He's the reason why Vince McMahon became WWE champion. He was around, but he wasn't actually wrestling. So I think they hoped he would be back, but he ended up not coming back.
So Austin would get injured, and I'll give him this. He wouldn't return until way later in 2000. Judgment Day, I think, was when he appeared, I believe, right?
No. He appeared at, I believe it was Unforgiven 2000.
Yeah.
Judgment Day was Undertaker.
I always get those two pops are some of the biggest pops of all time.
Man.
Of all time.
The Backlash 2000, he returns briefly, just cost Triple H the WWE Championship against The Rock. Huge pop. But he returned at Unforgiven 2000 and was looking for the assailant who drove him over with a car, and it ended up leading to a Stone Cold versus Rikishi thing, and then it was like, oh, Triple H was actually the assailant, which eventually led to, I guess, the next match we're probably going to talk about.
Yes, because he would not lose for another year and a half, almost two, until No Way Out, 2001. Triple H, 3 stages of hell match. What were your feelings about this match? I know a lot of people think it's a 5-star classic. I know a lot of people think it's probably the most boring match they've ever seen. I err on the side of the latter. I'm not a huge fan of this match or the finish.
I don't see it for this match. I think it was an overkill in terms of everything, and it was predictable. I think the story played the back role. Like, the story should have been they were both trying to kill each other. Yeah. The story was more, all right, you've got to win this fall. First of all, one was, I believe the first stage was like a regular match.
Regular-ass match.
Which was insane.
Yeah.
And then the second fall ended up being a street fight, which was like regular ass match with weapons. And then third fall was a cage match, which we all knew we was going to get to. I think the stipulation itself superseded the actual story. The story should have been these two men have been trying to kill each other for the past 2 years, and it's building up to this. And the fact that it happened the month before WrestleMania 2 is just even blows my mind a little bit more, crazy. But
it's weird because
this is what they had to do.
Yeah, it's weird because Triple H would win the feud, so to speak. He'd win by literally falling on top of Austin and winning the match.
Right.
Can't just pin him. Gotta fall.
No, he just literally exhausted. He falls on top of him. Boom, match.
40-minute match. 40 minutes. A 40-minute match.
It's a long match. And Triple H isn't someone, I think his best matches are still with Mick Foley and a few of them with The Rock. But it's something where his matches are very methodical and they're like breaking down and there's not a lot of near falls. And I think that's what that match missed. It kind of missed a pulse in it because it was just kind of brutality, but without any of the ups and downs that tug your heartstrings. To me, it's not a 5-star match. To me, it's just like very long end to a feud. But to me, I
think going into it, I think we expected Stone Cold to win because he won the Rumble and he was going on to face The Rock anyway, which was still weird to me why they even chose to do this because you're keeping Triple H strong for, was it Undertaker that year? It was Undertaker, right? Yeah, you're keeping him strong for Undertaker, but it's like someone had to lose there, and I feel like they flipped the coin, and Austin was like, "Okay, I'll finally put the guy over."
Right.
Weird.
I'm pretty sure the story of this feud, or at least between Stone Cold and Triple H, I think it needs to be told a little bit more. I don't know if I need to deep dig a little bit more in terms of seeing the motivations and because it's something like the Stone Cold, the Triple H versus The Rock feud, where there's an underlining, like, we actually don't like each other that well.
Yeah.
And it may be something to along that effect. I don't know. But it feels very suspicious in terms of just how this thing went down, how it was rushed to go down, the way it was ended in terms of the match, and how, Triple H pinned Hold and all these other things. So I think it's worth checking out, or at least doing a deep dive into.
And then, I mean, after WrestleMania 17, we all know what happened there. And then you have Triple H and Stone Cold teaming up together, which, again, literally the worst idea they've ever had as a company. And I think everyone agrees with that. I hated two-man power trip. Hated it.
I thought it was looking back now, I thought it was a bit much, but I like the brutality that came with it, and I thought it could have paid off into something big. But I think the payoff was still Stone Cold versus Triple H. Like, I think they were still set on that before Triple H tore his squad, because it looked like Triple H was going to be the one going to the Alliance or something along those rather, and then it was going to be this big feud in the summer.
And then he got injured.
He got injured, so I don't know.
But in the last match in our 316 means I just squashed your ass trifecta. They need to have a WWE collection called The Time Stone Cold Lost. They have all these matches. They're on the network.
They have all the matches.
The network should allow you to make your own playlist like Apple Music does. That'd be dope.
That would be amazing.
That would be amazing. The last match was, of course, Stone Cold Steve Austin's final match as an active wrestler against The Rock. Hey, the guy that he had beaten 2 times at WrestleMania before this. I think we all know this story as well. Stone Cold wasn't feeling very well the night of the match. He almost didn't make it to this. And I always heard people say, he didn't want a job. He didn't want to give the match to The Rock. What say you, Meelz? Do you believe that?
Do I believe he probably didn't want to give the match to The Rock? I don't know. I feel like at that point they had a lot of respect for each other. I don't know.
I remember looking at the Behind the Mania special, and I remember looking at the Behind the Mania special and seeing Austin literally purple during before walking out this match, and then walking back, he looked like he was about to die.
Yeah, it looked insane. To me, this match is it's an underrated match, I think. I don't know. It's not the best thing on WrestleMania 19.
No, they were a step slow. The two men were a step slow. I think this probably toward the twilight of their careers respectively, but of course The Rock will come back in tremendous shape, but they were a step slow, I think. I think out of the 3 matches that they had at WrestleMania, it's probably my 3rd favorite, maybe.
Really? I didn't like 15 all that much.
Actually, no, it's my 2nd favorite. I remember 15 was where they were in the crowd for 10 minutes.
Yeah, 15 wasn't all that good. I think this had a little bit more ups and downs and told the story a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's the last time he lost clean in his last match ever. I don't know if he'd be willing to do that again, because there was rumors of him coming back to face CM Punk, and I think he was considering it in a sense, but then he decided, hey, I'm not really up to speed to do it, so I'm not going to do it. There's always been rumors of Austin Hogan or Austin Cena.
Yeah.
But I feel like if Austin Hogan, he always says he wouldn't do it, and I think that's just because people have assumed that, just because it worked 3 years, but then I also think he sees what happened with Shawn at SummerSlam 2005, and this whole, are we doing what's best for Hogan, or are we doing what's best for business?
Or I think he always saw what Hogan did in WCW also, and he was like, nah, I'm not with it.
Yeah, so I think that's really the reason why we never got that type of match. But
also, you can't put those two together. Who's going to job? Neither of them are going to job.
Right. Exactly.
I know Hogan said,
one of them is going to expect a match.
I think Hogan said one time, I want to say he'd said this, that he would job to him, but I'm like, I don't believe that. I don't believe either of them would agree to jobbing to each other.
No.
It's something that would never happen. And I know the CM Punk match was very heavily hinted at during, I think it was WWE 13, the video game, when CM Punk was on the cover.
So.
And that was a cool little pipe dream for a second. And, they had a cute little promo, which I think was amazing, because Stone Cold just kind of turned it on. And I think that video is still on YouTube. But that would have been fun, and I think Punk would have loved to lose to Austin. But I think in any of these matches that you bring up, Austin was gonna win these matches. There's no way he's not jobbing anybody. This is a guy who still shows up just to give one person a stunner every other year, like your drunk grandpa. But I mean, those are his 5 matches. If you guys disagree with and essentially what I'm trying to say is that Stone Cold is more protected than Cena. He's more protected than Reigns. He's more protected than any top guy you've probably ever laid your eyes on in the past 20 years. Period. There's no argument. He's lost 5 times.
He's someone who's he's very sensitive. Not sensitive, but I think he's very, like, he holds his character very tight. He's not someone who's just like, oh, okay, I'll lose this match. He's like, he really wants to say why we're losing this match. Why am I doing this thing? He's really protective of the Stone Cold Steve Austin character, especially considering the massive success he had. And I don't think he ever had an opportunity to fuck up the money. And I think the one chance he did was when he turned heel. But, you know, he's very protective of his character. But in a sense also, it's like, for someone who was on top and probably could have, you know, I don't think he needed to assist in making new stars in the Attitude Era simply because there were so many stars. But you look at someone like his match his match was supposed to be against Brock Lesnar, and that's another case where it's like, why are we doing this? And it's like, well, you know, this is just business. He's the next big thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, why are we doing this on Raw without a build? And he walks out. He essentially walks out after that match because he's not sure. But yeah, that's kind of just how Stone Cold is, man. It's weird.
We don't gotta like it. That's how it is. I still love Stone Cold. I'm still a fan, but you gotta keep it 100. I mean, John Cena didn't have to put over Edge. I think that was the same situation that Austin had with Triple H, where Edge was the hottest heel in the company. He didn't have to do that. Countless times.
No, he didn't. I think a lot of people didn't want that to happen at all.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, and Edge is one of my favorite wrestlers, period. But I think a lot of people, Edge stayed a lot of time on how a lot of people weren't behind him doing things. And I guess it took John Cena's sort of, you know, hey, we should actually go with this. We should actually have him be champion and all this other stuff. I'm not saying John Cena is the reason why he became champion, but he understood the sort of story and all this thing going for it, and that they had something. I
mean, if you want to keep it 100, Roman didn't have to lose to Finn. Roman didn't have to lose to Braun. Roman didn't have to lose to Seth. You know, like there are a lot of that's just in the past year, almost year and a half. Mm-hmm. It's crazy, but that's our argument. Argue with us on Twitter about this, or tell us how you feel about this. Was Austin the most protected superstar in the world? And if so, why do you agree with that? Why whatever. Tell us about it. Let's get to Raw and SmackDown, shall we?
Let's do it.
Raw. I didn't really enjoy Raw this week. I think Raw's been basically twiddling his thumbs. I think I texted you on Monday like I'm tapping out. I think I caught the rest on YouTube. I tapped out at like 10:15. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, me too. I kind of wasn't paying attention fully, and decided I would probably watch whatever is remaining on YouTube. Yeah,
I mean, you didn't miss much if you missed this show, but we are here to talk.
But I did catch up on the matches. Because I know there were 2 great matches on Raw, despite nothing of the sort really going on.
And I'm going to get to those actually right now. The first one was an excellent Seth Rollins-Cesaro match that went about 13, 14 minutes and went through 2 commercial breaks, which was really surprising. This was after a Roman Reigns promo about the IC title. Seth comes out. We learned that Dean Ambrose is on his honeymoon this week, so congratulations to him for finally getting time to actually take a break. Him and Renee Young, his wife.
Shout out to him for finessing the Thanksgiving weekend and saying, I'm also going to take off the next week.
Good. I mean,
some godly work there in terms of annual days,
Yeah, they got to work on Christmas Day. I mean, you might as well.
Sad.
Yeah, you might sad. As well. But the Seth Rollins-Cesaro match, great match. Both men.
Sheamus was on a yearly sabbatical. I was like, what the hell is that?
Oh, yeah. But you know what? Sheamus does always disappear every year, though. He does do that.
Oh, I guess. Yeah, I guess if we're paying attention. Yeah, but Seth Rollins versus Cesaro, great encounter to open Raw, really.
Yeah, I think both men are really, they really know each other. And I think this really gives a chance for Cesaro to shine. And I think he's been one of the most underrated parts of Raw for the past year, even in the tag team stuff. Even I think it was the night after Mania when he went to go run after the ball and threw the ball and shit like that. Like that was really great stuff.
SummerSlam, yeah.
It was SummerSlam, yeah. It was SummerSlam.
I think Seth Rollins looked pretty good in this match too, for someone who's taken a step back and accepted a little bit of a lower profile compared to being in the Universal title hunt or the WWE title hunt. To me, he looked really good in this match. He looked as good as he had since returning from his injury.
Yeah, and he's shown shine. He's shown signs of that in the past year. I mean, he got saddled with a really bad Bray Wyatt feud. Of course, he had a couple things not roll his way after that Triple H match, and I mean, I just gotta be 100. Like, I just don't feel like a Triple H match really. It's almost like a Bray feud. Like, I don't think it really helps anybody after you come out of it because you're kind of left on your own. But
right.
I thought this match was great. Of course, Seth Rollins picks up the win, which is leading to a huge Raw in LA next week, which I'll actually be in attendance for, where Dean Ambrose and the returning Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins will face off against the Bar at Raw in LA.
I think the fact I get there's no pay-per-views, but we see these matches so often, but they're always so good.
Yeah.
And especially, I mean, the last match they had, I believe it was 30. Wasn't that 30-minute Iron Man? Was it a stipulation?
The last match that they had was on Raw 3 weeks ago.
Okay. I don't remember if there was a stipulation. If not,
there wasn't. There wasn't. The New Day came out. It was when they were in the UK.
Oh, right. I don't know. I think they should add a stipulation. It's been a while since we had a ladder match on Raw. I feel like that would be a good one.
That'd be great. That'd be awesome, actually.
I feel like just something to spice it up, make it worthy of the main. It's going to be good anyway. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
They're amazing competitors anyway. But yeah, it'll be interesting what they do with the tag team titles, especially with the division sort of in limbo.
Yeah. Speaking of Roman, who was on the show a couple of times this week, had a pretty good match against Elias. I won't say that it was like the announcers were hyping Elias as like the next big thing. I won't say that it's that much. It was that great, but I think it was a solid 3-star match that he had.
To me, I enjoyed this better than the Seth Rollins Cesaro match, just to be quite honest.
Why's that? Why's that?
I just feel like it had a good energy to it. I think off the bat it started off really, really strong. I think Elias is someone who sort of he's becoming more accustomed and mastering the WWE style of matches, which is like slow it down, bring it up, slow it down, bring it up. Roman Reigns is just a great competitor overall.
He's a great ring general. He's probably one of the best ring generals in the whole in the whole company.
And where Seth Rollins and Cesaro, I guess, was thrilling off of just the bare athleticism. This was thrilling. They had outside interference, which made you think, like, hey, well, you never really thought Roman was going to lose.
Hell no.
It made you think, like, hey, could something actually happen? There was a lot of things going on in this match. I think they paced it really, really well. I think Elias has been on this has had good momentum over the last couple months since he debuted, and he's had these consistently good matches. I really, really enjoyed the match. I didn't think those two would mesh as well as they did, but he really made it look like Elias had something, a mean streak or something to offer. Now, I think if they channel that into something Elias's character and give him a program that he can really sink his teeth into, besides just everyone hates that he does music, I think we might get something a little bit more. But to me, it was probably the match I enjoyed the most on Raw, just from looking at Elias and be like, man, he's doing really, really well now. I didn't believe in him in NXT. I thought he was very, very lame in NXT, and just to see how well
in NXT, he didn't have the singing gimmick either, so there was really nothing for you to grasp onto.
No, he had the singing gimmick in NXT.
He didn't have it like he has it now.
No, I mean, on WWE, it's much more amplified on the big stage. He definitely had that singing gimmick. He would walk out to the stage and start singing. I think it just didn't translate well to Full Sail.
Yeah, it didn't.
And I think it translates well when he's at live crowds and he's in different arenas and he's able to play with the things that he says and all these other things. I think he's just a naturally smart alecky, witty guy. So it kind of works out.
You just gushed over Elias Sampson for 3 minutes. Let's move on. It's a good match.
Let's do that.
Roman Reigns wins. But actually, before we get off of Elias, how do you feel about Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel being a part of his entourage until The Miz comes back in about 6 to 8 weeks?
I I like it. I think Raw is doing something where I feel like they need to actively use all of their stars, and if this is the way they do it, this is how they do it, instead of having them sit out for 6 weeks until he comes back,
or having them not show up, or just having them not show up on the show at all, like SmackDown is having a problem with as of right now.
Right, but they're using all their stars, and I think it works well for Elias. It'll be an interesting thing when the Miz comes back and see how things go there, but it definitely works well. The harmonica solos were a nice little touch.
That segment went way too long. That segment was 5 minutes too long.
I think everything in the show went too long. I think they didn't fully plan this show out.
but about
because
Roman,
it went too long, and then the show ended like right on time, which never happens on Raw.
But about Roman and the IC title, what are your thoughts on it so far? And I know we got a big pivot this week, because I know we'd originally been thinking it was going to be Finn and Joe. Now it's looking like Finn is still kind of circling or orbiting the Kane program with Braun, and they're going to keep him there, which is kind of a weird way to. We'll get to that in a second, but it looks like it's going to be Roman and Joe, which is a program I think it shouldn't last a week. I don't feel like that should be a program to me until the Rumble at least. What do you think? How do you think of his run so far? Do you think this is going to be better than his U.S. title run, which was an absolute failure to me?
I think if they keep doing these open challenges, it will. But I feel like I always felt like I feel like that's what we're doing with the middle title now. It's just like, oh, great, open challenge for everybody, and it kind of it's a little bit unoriginal. But I see why they're doing it, because I don't know if they're going to commit to a program with all these superstars, and they have a lot of people they want to showcase on the show and all this other thing. So it's a good opportunity, not just to, not to have these programs, but to showcase the talent on Raw.
Yeah. And
you saw that with Elias, and you saw it with, he had a match with Jason Jordan a couple weeks ago that was really, really good.
And they have to build Raw. And my reasoning for not wanting the Joe thing to end so quickly is because they have to build this Raw. And the only big date they have until Royal Rumble is Christmas Day. They have to pack that show out. You're already seeing that. What is it? In 2 weeks, Enzo will have to defend the Cruiserweight title. I think he's going to do that on Raw. They have to do these title matches and build up to this Christmas Day show. And I think we're going to be seeing a lot of big matches on December 25th. But I think he's doing.
I like the way they're building it, everything too. I like the consistency with the weeks. Every week there's something announced from next week. I think it's a good touch. It makes me want to watch, or at least makes me remember. Oh shit, we have that match to look forward to. It's a really, really nice touch.
But actually, you know what? Cesaro and Rollins wasn't my favorite match. My favorite match was Asuka and Dana Brooke, which ended in 5 seconds this week. Loved it.
Whew.
Asuka's really, she's really 180 since October. I'll say that much.
I love when you can telegraph that a match is going to end in 10 seconds.
I loved it.
Basically, from it, he was like, I have planned for I know her holes in her game plan. I'm like, all right, Dana. And then you just knew, it was like, once I get my hands on her, and then you just knew. And it was a nice touch.
And I loved in Dana's insert promo. And shout out to Dana for being on the show on Monday. I don't know if you heard, but her mother was in surgery that day. So she practically flew out just to lose in 5 seconds while her mother was in surgery. Shout out to Dana. Prayers with her. But I loved in her insert promo, she said, Asuka's a slow starter. And I said, oh, this is not going to last more than 2 seconds. And it literally did. It literally happened. But that's leading to our next segment, which was, you know what, for everything that Raw might be doing wrong with a lot of other superstars, and even though the stories aren't as strong, the most intriguing thing on both shows to me for the past 2 weeks has been the women.
The influx of the NXT girls.
Yeah, and Paige. They got a name this week. Well, both teams got a name. Paige's group was announced as the Absolution, and we got a little bit of background on why Paige is back. And it's essentially what I thought it would be. I think you probably thought it would be that too. When she was gone, nobody talked about her, and everyone took over. And she wants to claim her spot back. And I love the fact that Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose they're basically like her lackeys. They worship her. I like that aspect. My only issue with the Absolution, and they had 2 segments on this show. Poor Sasha Banks getting her ass whipped 2 weeks in a row, and Bayley and Mickey. There was a 6-woman tag match that did not happen. They come out, they beat up on Sasha, and then later on, which is interesting, and this is building to what I hope happens at WrestleMania, the Absolution comes out to surround Asuka, but they let her leave, and I think you should keep teasing that. I think that's a great tease to keep coming back to. But my big problem with them right now is not the story; it's the fact that like these women need something like a T-shirt or something that lets us know that they're together. I feel like they need. I don't think they need matching gear. I think they need their own personalities, but they need something that lets us know that these women are with each other. If that makes any sense.
I agree. It's a nice touch. I think it's something. You just see 3 women on stage, and they don't necessarily look alike. They don't look like they occupy the same space outside of walking out together. They don't look like they're a team, but they are a team. It was a nice little touch. I like the sort of backstory. You're adding this sort of backstory of why, which is something. If you do get in WWE, you don't get an answer that makes sense, but it's a nice little explanation. I think the girls, they still look pretty, they still need some work in the ring. I think I was looking at Mandy Rose's finisher. That's a complex finisher for someone who's really, really new.
Well, she's good. She hits it very well. You have to remember she's not. Even though she wasn't on, and I keep saying this, like even though she wasn't on NXT TV, she toured those loops all the time. And
I agree, but I just feel like there's something about that finisher that doesn't look fluid, doesn't look smooth at all. It looks like she's basing a lot. You kind of have to do it and just trust the superstar that they know how to take it. But I can feel that she's really asking, or she's like, "Are you ready?" And then she, lifts them up and do everything like that. I think there's a sort of trepidation that comes just because she is green in the ring.
I think if anything from what I've seen of her live, and I actually saw her and Asuka at an NXT event here a year ago. If there's anything she knows how to do, it's get heat and do that finisher. That's literally the best thing she can do.
I think it's true. I think she can very well occupy the same space that Eva Marie did before she left.
She's better. I think she's better than Eva Marie.
I think so. I think she has way more potential than Eva Marie, of course. But couldn't replicate that heat.
Yeah, that's the big question.
It was a nice little encounter.
I have to applaud Sonya Deville and they had to get through a long promo segment on Sasha Banks. I want to say it was about 5 minutes of them just talking, where Sonya Deville had to work through what chance. And she didn't seem to be worked up at all. She didn't seem to be flustered. But I would say cut the promo time down a little bit on these chicks. Well, I mean, not cut it down, but kind of give them their own distinct styles, because Mandy and Sonya didn't have a distinct style like Sarah Logan and Liv have distinct characters on SmackDown, and we'll get to that in a second. But those two didn't, and I felt like that's what killed them on Monday with that promo that they had to give.
100%. They just seem like 2 other people who were just talking.
Yeah.
But I like that. I like, you need distinct personalities, but at the same time, you need something that just brings them together as well, some unifying factor. It could be a T-shirt. It could be something along those lines. But we just need something that sort of brings them together.
And the last point on Raw is I just got to complain about this every week. Kane is dragging the show down.
Yeah.
Kane is dragging the show down. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Jason Jordan goes through a story which I believe they're setting up for a turn here of him always going back to this knee injury. I'm not really sure yet, but Jason Jordan had a match with Kane. He gets counted out because of his knee injury, which they're milking this for all it's worth. So I'm guessing next week we might see a turn in LA. And then Finn Balor comes out, which is what I brought up earlier. Finn is, for some reason, still orbiting this feud because he still wants revenge against Kane for what happened to him 2 weeks ago. Finn comes out. He does some moves on Kane. It gets hit with a chair. Listen, why the fuck? Why do this? Why the fuck would you have Finn come out and do this? It makes no sense.
I think they have nothing planned for him. I think
if he's not beating Kane, then will this become a situation? And I've always thought this would be a logical feud to come out of this. Is Braun gonna beat Kane, and then Finn gonna fight Braun?
I think they have no current plans for Finn. As much as we say, there's the rumors of like Finn's going to be like the next Dolph Ziggler or something. I don't believe that to be true, but I do believe there's no current plans of Finn. It doesn't look like to be in sort of any direction. They don't look like they're moving him forward. They don't look like they're moving him backwards. Maybe something will occur during around Mania time.
Yeah, well, something will occur. Something for sure will occur on December 18th because that's when Brock Lesnar comes back. So we'll know by then.
We'll know. Sure.
But he needs an opponent. He needs an opponent. There's only one.
I don't know if it'll be Finn though. It could be Finn.
I'm not saying it's gonna be Finn, but I think that if we can figure out where the fuck he's going, because he's beaten Joe, he's beaten like they're not doing Roman, he's beaten Braun, he's beaten everybody. He's not gonna be Titus O'Neil. So I'm wondering what they have Finn at this top program for, and why they're ending the show and giving him a main event there if they're not, like my whole thing is like. If they're gonna have Finn in this Kane feud with Braun, what exactly the fuck are they gonna be doing with him? Like I just said, is Braun gonna beat Kane and then Finn gonna turn heel, or is Finn just gonna be there just to get beat up by Kane or eventually get his win back on a nothing show? I have no clue. It's weird, but
who knows, man?
Kane is definitely bringing the show down, and I think he's a large part of the reason why I'm not feeling Raw right now as much as I'm feeling SmackDown Live. I
think you're a bit. Hold on. Two things I want to talk about on Raw before we go. Before we completely get off Raw.
Go ahead.
The series of cruiserweight matches, I think it's a good idea, even though I think the Fatal 4-Way match was kind of, not a lot of people were into it, but, I think it's a good idea in terms of drawing attention once we get to the finals of this thing. And then and for anyone not clear who haven't seen it, Kurt Angle, I guess, finally realized or remembered that 205 Live is a part of his show, and told the cruiserweights that they'll have 2 4-way matches that are qualifying matches. The first one was with Cedric. No, it was with Rich Swann, Noam Dar, Akira Tozawa. Who was the last guy? Who's the guy who got pinned? Shit. And
it wasn't Meelz. Arya Daivari. They had a 4-way match. Rich Swann won. They'll have one next week with Gulak, Cedric Alexander, Mustafa Ali, and it's always the last person that escapes me. It's on my finger. I can't remember. One of the geeks.
Yeah. I discovered in the chat that TJP has gone missing.
Yeah, he's gone.
So are we on TJP watch, or is he like, you think he's gone from the company?
I think that I think that TJP might either be on hiatus or he may be gone from the company. Here's the thing: there was a rumor that a lot of people on 205 weren't coming back from that UK tour, or if they didn't go to the tour, that they weren't going to be on the show anymore. And TJP was one of those guys that was not on the show in UK. So, yeah, that was one of the rumors. And TJP was one of those guys. Grand Metalik was, I don't think he was on the UK shows either.
Dang.
But he was on main event.
Grand Metalik.
But he was on main event, so he's safe. But TJP hasn't been back. And the thing is, you've got to, and I'm going to get to this point too, you've got Hideo Itami coming. So you got to, and Rockstar Spud. So you have to clear out people to make room for people. And I think Spud and Enzo is a fucking natural feud between two really great talkers. I don't know if you saw Rockstar Spud in TNA, but he's fucking excellent.
I've seen zero Rockstar Spud, but I'm looking forward to this.
You'll like it.
The second point I wanted to hit was Woken Hardy.
Oh yeah, that happened. So Bray,
it's a thing that happened. This is when the Hardys originally signed to WWE. This was something that a lot of people were very, very excited about, the possibility and the prospect of bringing the Broken Hardys brand to the WWE on a much bigger scale, on a much wider scale. I don't know if they'll have the same creative control that they had in TNA, but it senses like we're going to be showcasing this on TV, and we see that Matt Hardy is now not quite using Broken, but using Woken instead. And we saw him after he lost to Bray Wyatt. He looks like he's not dealing with these losses solo not dealing well with these losses solo with Jeff out on injury. So he started, doing the delete, and it got a little bit of traction, not full traction. I think the crowd, needs to get back hip on it.
I feel like when the crowd gets it, they will be over it in a week. Like I don't know if it's going to translate. Translated.
Recreating it is not going to be a good idea. You're essentially recreating something that they did somewhere else and trying to capture the same, magic.
Give them something. Give them something. And I mean, I think a feud with Bray Wyatt is like Matt. Listen, like it'll hurt the new guys going against Bray. Matt, it won't hurt at all. You know what I'm saying? Like. That's the right type of ridiculousness that the show, they can just be in their own little fucking world doing that ridiculous shit and just let everybody else do what the fuck they want to do.
I 100% agree. And I think it's going to be, I think it's a good time to do it because when Jeff Hardy eventually gets back, you have that Brian Nero sort of come back and, it's something that could become very, very popular very, very quick. Who knows? But this is the start of something for Matt Hardy. I think people didn't really think it was going to be start of something. I think WWE even forgot that they had that, in the back of their pocket or something.
It just came out today that Ed Nordholm had the owner of Anthem, who owns Impact Wrestling. He had an interview with SportsCenter saying that they're now allowing all of their former talent to take their gimmicks with them when they leave, including the Hardys. So I think it's pretty much a given that it's going down. Like this is happening.
I think it's a good move for Anthem, just in case people want to, you want to Google Broken Matt Hardy because it's happening in the WWE and you get access to a bunch of TNA stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good move. I think, but from there we can definitely head to SmackDown.
Yeah, well, we'll see next week when he comes out with the half gray hair. We'll see. But SmackDown, great show this week. Really enjoyed it.
I think it's probably the host of the most interesting feud right now, which is the Shane McMahon, Daniel Bryan, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn saga right now.
Yeah, and this week tensions grew even more with Shane and Bryan coming out in a respectful way, and I like the way they're doing the face dynamic, where Bryan and Shane are having disagreements, but they're handling them publicly and professionally. So, like right now they are at least, but I like the opening segment where they brought them out. And they were basically saying, Bryan was saying, hey, like, they are really talented. Why would you want to fire them, in his own way? And Shane saying, well, okay, we'll have a no DQ match between KO and Randy Orton, and Sami Zayn is barred from ringside. Ho, ho, ho. Which is a loophole that Sami would use in the actual match to help KO win. And Kevin Owens got a huge win in a really great match with Randy Orton. I think one of my favorite Kevin Owens matches in a very long time against Randy Orton, in which he won the match with Sami Zayn showing up outside of the ring to hit Randy with a chair.
I think when Randy Orton is motivated, which he seemed like he did, he's able to have these great matches, especially one with Kevin Owens. I guess all those barbs back and forth on Twitter eventually sparked something. But it was a good match. I like the Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan, dynamic. I'm not sure where it's going to go.
Not a match.
Part of me thinks
there's no match.
There's no match. There's 100% no match. But at the same time, they kind of make Shane McMahon look stupid, and it's going to eventually bite him in the ass. And then I don't know what happens from there. I don't know what we're accomplishing by undermining Shane McMahon's decisions, unless Daniel Bryan is turning heel.
Which would be odd. It would be super odd because if there's a top faces,
because he's not a heel. Yeah.
Yeah. If there's a top faces in the company, period, Shane is in that top 5 and Bryan are in that top 5.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting. I feel like eventually they're going to make the decision to just like scrap this thing entirely and just have them work like chummy pals again. But it's an interesting. It's a lot more of a slow burn than what they do on Raw, which Stephanie McMahon comes out after a 3-month hiatus, emasculates you, and then you have this sort of back and forth with her husband, which was totally evaporated on Raw.
Also, but, like I said, Triple H did not show up this week. He's not showing up again for a while. Like, this is fucking ridiculous, dude.
It's so stupid.
We still don't know. We still don't know what the purpose of Survivor Series was. 2 weeks later.
So stupid.
Ridiculous.
So stupid.
Another point on SmackDown is the tag title scene. The New Day, to me, perplexingly beat Gable and Benjamin, who I thought were shoo-ins to actually go against the Usos for the tag titles. What did you think about that?
I think they just did. They literally did this like a month ago, where they had Gable and Benjamin beat New Day, and then they become number one contenders for the tag titles, and then they had their tag title match, and then they won by count out, but didn't win the tag team titles. But I think they didn't necessarily want to telegraph that again, so they had New Day win. But I still think Gable and Benjamin will be in contention for the titles. I think we're possibly even setting up for
a three-way
Clash of Champions, a three-way match.
Yeah.
Just because I don't think they go back to New Day versus Usos again, and I don't think they, want to go back to just Benjamin and Gable again, because then it's like, what do you do with the New Day? So I think we're setting up for a three-way match, just so everyone on the roster can be used at Clash of Champions.
In more tag team news, the Bludgeon Brothers theme song is still awesome, and they are also awesome as well.
I like both of them. I think Luke Harper's in great shape. I think they work as a tag team tandem, even though I think I don't think they've been given a chance as solo stars either, besides that stairs match, which was terrible.
They've got a Road Warriors-esque vibe about them. Even they're like so ridiculous, but they beat the shit out of guys, and I think that's why I like them so much.
But I feel like they're just two giant guys. They're just like they don't have the intensity that the Road Warriors have. They don't.
That was just a comparison. I was just saying, like, there are more Road Warriors than the Ascension were, they're more believable than those guys were. And in which case, like, when they beat the Hype Bros in 50 seconds, I'm like, yeah, I fuck with that a lot. I love their look. I love their theme. I love it.
How did you feel about Mojo Rawley turning on Zack Ryder?
And that was the next point that I was getting to in tag team. We lost the tag team on SmackDown this week in the Hype Brothers after they lost to the Bludgeon Brothers. There's too many brothers on the show. That's probably why they cut one. They cut one of the brothers.
Well, they're bros. They're not brothers. They're bros. Come on. They're bros.
Mojo Rawley, he beat the fuck out of Zack Ryder. How did I feel about it? I feel like this was about 2 months too late. They've been foreshadowing this too long.
Let me ask a question. Why not turn Zack Ryder as Mojo Rawley? Because I feel like they were hinting towards Zack Ryder being the one who's the aggressor.
Well, they've been hinting at both. They've been hinting at both, and I think right now, the big project, or not the big project, but their prospect rather is Mojo and not Zack. For Zack to be a heel right now, he'd have to be going over guys. And right now, like, realistically, I don't think a heel Zack Ryder is believable in that. And I think right now Zack is better as a player coach, like a Kurt Hawkins is, where he could be having great matches with guys like Mojo, who he's worked with extensively in the past year. And I think Mojo is someone that I think right now is sink or swim. It's like Big Cass. It's sink or swim. It's like you have to figure out this character, and we have to see what a heel Mojo looks like, because he can't be the get hype guy anymore. He's going to be the intense guy.
Believe it or not, I feel like Mojo Rawley has a bigger upside than Big Cass. And I say 100%. That simply because he has a character and he has it completely under control.
There's also no Braun equivalent to him.
Right, 100%. And I think just Mojo Rawley, for some reason, he's been able to tap into just a character and just becoming believable through his words. I'm not sure how that'll translate as a heel, because I've never actually seen him be a bad guy. He's always been the upbeat guy and just dancing and all this other things. But I'm not sure it'll translate as a heel, but I'm looking forward to it. I think he's a lot more soft-spoken. I think he's a lot more clear with his words. I think it'll be interesting to see. I'm interested in this Mojo Rawley turn. I was kind of perplexed. I was like, hey, why not Zach? But what you said definitely makes sense.
I'm not so much. I think going into 2018 we'll see more. There's got to be a face that goes against him, and that guy might be Bobby Roode, who it looks like I said, is going into a program with Baron Corbin, which oh my God, I do not want to watch. But I think Bobby will be that upper mid card face that Mojo will be facing pretty soon.
I think they need to pull a double turn at Clash of Champions with Roode and
Corbin.
And Corbin. I think they work. That match works well when both guys are on the other opposite of the spectrum. I think Baron Corbin can be someone they cheer. Because he's big, he's explosive, he's cool, he's dark, and I think Bobby Roode is obviously the guy you want to boo. So it's kind of ruined. I think they should at least try or make an attempt. I don't think it will happen, but I think they should at least make an attempt because the way this is working out now isn't working out.
Well, it's tough. Because I really believe that Bobby's going to have the actual main title as a heel next year. I think that's the plan. But I think Jinder's getting that U.S. title. So I think you put it on Roode, and then you have him go against Jinder at the top of the year. And we'll get to Jinder in a second. But I also agree that Bobby he's not doing it for me. He never really did it for me in NXT either. And I think this is proving even more that like the lights might be a little bit too bright for him. So again, it's sink or swim with Bobby too because he has to make this Baron feud work. And Baron as champion hasn't been great either. Like the U.S. title, has had a horrible year. You gotta think about who's held it. Like KO held it and did nothing for him. AJ held it, did nothing for him. It's done nothing for anyone this year. And I think it's time to. Why didn't Rusev get it back? I just feel like it's logical to have him have that belt, but he doesn't have it. In fact, Rusev isn't even on the show this week, but. The Riot Squad, Ruby Riot and her team got a name. She got a name change. Period. Her new name is Ruby Riot. With two T's,
double T's, baby.
With
that's
two
punk
T's.
Rock. That's rock. That's crazy. It's metal. Whatever.
And I'm really digging their tandem outside of the leader, which is obviously Ruby, who got a lot on this show. They had another 6-woman tag where it wasn't like on Raw. They didn't do the exact same thing. Kind of did, where they actually beat up. It was Natalya. Naomi and Charlotte versus the Riot Squad of Ruby Riot, Sarah Logan and Liv Morgan. Natty walks out. It becomes a 2-on-3. They beat the shit out of Naomi for about 5 minutes, and that is Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan. Crazy. There's not much I can say. It was a brutal beatdown.
Did you see the injury list that Naomi had?
Cervical strain.
Facial something.
Contusions.
Like, okay.
She had facial contusions.
Separated shoulder. I was like, you guys are this is really overkill. Like, she's dead, isn't she? She's
not only dead, but they did something to her cervix. They were doing some weird shit to her also.
Like literally, it's like if the fucking bomb came to your face. Like that's the injury that would happen if something like blew up at you. Like it's a little bit of overkill. And Naomi just looked like she was asleep, but whatever. Like
it almost, like I said earlier, it felt hate crimey because it was two white women. It was two white women beating the shit out of a black woman on TV. I don't really know. The optics of that was all wrong. Like, if you were to flip the SmackDown during that segment, you would have been like, what the fuck am I watching?
What's going on here?
Yeah.
I'll say something about the Riot Squad. I like Ruby Riot in this role. I like her in this role more than I liked her on NXT.
Yeah. And people were worried because she's never played a heel before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, never. She's never played a heel before.
She's great. She's a great talker.
Yeah.
I think she enunciates. I think she's got great pacing with her words. I think she enunciates I think she uses emphasis on words at the right time, and I think it's just an overall just a good promo.
And she's got a good look. I think she just doesn't look like every other diva, or not. Sorry. Oh my God! Wow, kill me. Wow. She doesn't look like every other. She doesn't like every other woman.
Kill you. How about that?
Yeah. Well, I'm dead. I'm
when
really
you get to
dead.
Raw next week, she will kill you. How about that?
But she has a great look, and I feel like she's a very explosive wrestler. Period. She can work a really good style, and I think when you put someone that has always been a face as a heel, you kind of give them a challenge out the box, and I feel like she's given, from what she's been given, she's knocked it out the park for me, and I've always been a Ruby Riott fan, as everyone knows.
And I feel like just the way that she differentiated everyone. She said the firecracker, Liv Morgan. So it's like now you get this kind of explosive girl, and you're just like, she could pop off at any time, whatever.
That part is
and
ridiculous.
Then you have I don't know, the enforcer Arn Anderson, Sarah Logan. Like, you have her, and
she's the gritty Southern Belle. She's the gritty Southern Belle.
The gritty Southern Belle, whatever. Arn Anderson, the same thing. Like, she's the gritty Southern Belle, and she doesn't say anything. She's not gonna say a word because her arms are folded and she's looking very stoic. And he's like, you know what? You don't have to say words. Like, we know you're gonna cause trouble. So I just like how they did that entirely. I think it was a great segment.
And they gave Ruby the clean pin on the women's champion Charlotte to end the match,
which is insane.
They're giving them. I think they're giving them a lot more than they're giving the women on Raw. But I do love that the stories are starting to branch off in their own direction, because I feel like the natural progression here is to have either Ruby go after the title or have Natty and Charlotte finish this up at Clash of the Champions and then move on.
Right. I think it's because it's sort of the Riot Squad. You have 3 new girls, whereas in Absolution, the focus is really just on Paige. Yeah. And these 2 are supporting Paige, where all these 3 girls, they're new, they're fresh, they're sort of supporting themselves. I mean, Ruby Riott is the leader of this squad, but they're essentially 3 new acts that they're trying to get over, and, they're trying things out. It may not be Ruby Riott, sometime from now. Liv Morgan may pop off, and she might become the one. Sarah Logan, they might see something in Sarah Logan where she could become the one, but it's something there's not one focal point on the team. Yeah. So it makes it very, very interesting.
And that's what I loved about it. And the next point on SmackDown is AJ and Jinder. That's still going strong. They have the match set for Clash of the Champions. We're getting an actual character storyline for Jinder Mahal. Can you believe it? Can you believe this?
The scorned ex-champion.
He's unhinged, and he's unhinged, and he's getting worse by the week that he, because he doesn't have the title. This week it was AJ in a handicap match that was teased a month ago before they did the title change with the Singh brothers. I thought it was a good match. I thought it was believable how they
finish, man.
Super good finish.
I feel like the Singh brothers are just like, just give us anything, we'll take it. Like, just kill us, murder us.
And AJ, and they got a lot of heat on AJ, who of course was attacked before the match started by Jinder and the other 2. But the match goes for about 8 minutes, I think. AJ gets some pretty good stuff in, and they do a spot where they have one of the Singh brothers on the ground, or on the mat, by the turnbuckle. The other Singh brother tried to give AJ I think it was a Hurricane Rana off of the top rope. He switches that or reverses it into the Styles Clash and gives the one Singh brother a Styles Clash onto the other one to finish the match.
That's a spot, one, that you can only trust AJ Styles with, and then 2, like, only the Singh brothers would say, like, I'm going to put myself in this much danger and trust you enough to
I think there's only one other guy that's done that, and that's Tetsuya Naito in New Japan. He did that to Tetsuya Naito, I think 2 years ago, and it was crazy then. But I think that's the only other person that he's ever done that on, and that's nuts.
There are probably wrestling nerds who saw that and would like to experience that. I wouldn't put that past them. But they were just like, oh, I remember that match.
But after the match, Jinder completely kills the Singh brothers. And this is making me a little bit worried about the fact that they may be like going away from the Singh brothers or trying to put them away. I think it's good for Jinder as far as the storyline. I think me and you both agree that I think if he loses the title, he'll go on the unhinged kind of trying to get the title back. He feels wrong type shit. But I think this might lead the Clash of Champions to Jinder coming out without the Singh brothers and finally losing without them.
I think the Singh brothers will likely stick around a little bit for longer, but not too much longer.
I hope they stick around.
Well, I think they're going to stick around as, figures on SmackDown. Maybe they'd be using the tag division or something, but I don't think they stick with Jinder for too long. Clash of Champions may end up being the swan song where they realize they've had enough, and maybe they walk out. They walk out,
yeah. I like that idea.
But it'll be interesting to see how this goes. I really like what they're doing with Jinder Mahal right now, which is something that we haven't said in like 8 months.
I cannot believe. I was like, wow, I'm really enjoying this character. Don't give him the belt back. Just don't give him the belt back.
Well, here's the thing. You've established him that he was an ex-champion. Now he has the sort of hunger and the drive of an ex-champion, and he wants it back. It takes out the complacency of it all, and it really gives him a fire and intensity, and the intensity he really should have had as champion.
Yeah.
And maybe he should have channeled it into a different way as champion in terms of perspective, but it really gives him the intensity and the power and everything move. It makes the Colossus he laid out the Singh brothers with.
Almost killed them.
Just almost murdered them. Like, it's insane. Like, this is a new side of Jinder Mahal, and I think this is the side of Jinder we wanted to see. He's a strong guy. He's a big guy. He can be a monster if he really wants to. And now we're going to see it. I think in the next year he may redeem himself, and we may just say, like, do we want Jinder Mahal as champion again? I don't know if we'd be quick to say it, but no. we might not, rule it out as quickly.
I think he'll stay at the upper mid. I think if Elimination Chamber rolls around, I think he'll be in that match. But I still think we're getting the Cena match with him. I still think there's a way that can happen. Realistically, yes. I still think we're going to get that Cena match. I still don't think, because again, a lot of people are like, he's going to win it back at Clash, and I'm just like, he could, but he'll win it. He'll lose it right back at Rumble, because I don't see, other than AJ. AJ's got his number, and I think that's a good story. I think it's a good story to tell, and when he loses it, it's a good story to go back to.
Right.
But
100%.
One more thing about SmackDown. I feel like this show is getting overstuffed. There were a couple of people, a lot of talents that were missing from SmackDown this week. With the 3 new women moving in, Carmella was not on the show this week. Of course, Becky was gone. Shinsuke Nakamura, not on the show this week. And Rusev and Aiden English, not on the show this week.
I think
Ty Dillinger's been missing for a while. So
I think there's nothing for Ty Dillinger right now. I'm not going to put him on any sort of priority list. I think you have give and take. We had fashion files this week. We don't get fashion files every week. You had to take away from something. I don't know where they were sort of going, because they had this Rusev, Aiden English versus New Day thing going on, and then it looks like they kind of scrapped that to go in a different direction. Shinsuke Nakamura, there's just nothing going on right now. I don't know. If we've talked about this, but may potentially like Sami Zayn at the pay-per-view or something along those lines. There's a few more weeks to build something, but
There's two after this week. 2 weeks.
They can 100% do that. So maybe it's a Sami Zayn or a Kevin Owens.
I feel with Nakamura, they're gonna try and get him going pretty soon for Rumble and Mania season. I think and I think I told you this earlier today. I think that they feed Nakamura, or they feed Sammy or KO to Nakamura at the pay-per-view just to get him hot again, just to give him a good win. Because I feel like that's what they use Nakamura for. They use him. They feed guys to him on SmackDown, and then he beats them, and then whatever. But that's a glaring omission. I mean, I just have no clue what they're doing with Nakamura right now. I still think it's possible to do this AJ match at WrestleMania. I don't think they need the belt for it. I think they could do that match whenever they want to. They're clearly holding it off for a reason. I'll just say that they're holding it off for a reason.
Right.
But
I also think it's because that Shane McMahon, Daniel Bryan, KO, Sami Zayn thing just takes up a large chunk of SmackDown as well. It's only a 2-hour show. They had a match. They had a program. They had a backstage segment. They have a lot of things going on. They need to be able to tell the story very,
But what about Carmella?
Carmella, I think there's probably just nothing going on for Carmella. There's only a few girls. They have nothing for Tamina going on right now. Nothing for Lana.
Oh wow, I forgot about them too.
they would have nothing for Natalya either, but, she has to get a rematch for her belt. But, I think with Carmella, you can keep her out of the eye a little bit. You have Liv Morgan on SmackDown, and there eventually has to be that acknowledgement that they're very similar.
Well, I think the firecracker thing in this week was done to give Liv to give her a distinct difference between her and Carmella. As far as her being the firecracker, Carmella's like the loudmouth, cocky wrestler. But the thing is, where do if Carmella realistically cashes in the Money in the Bank and beats Charlotte, she's going to be facing a lot of heels coming out of that, and Becky's gone for the foreseeable future. Who knows when? That the women's division is kind of weird because, again, I don't see Charlotte holding that belt to Mania. I see Charlotte with a much bigger opponent at Mania. I'll just say that much. I'm just not sure. I'm not sure where that belt's going right now.
Only time will tell. It looks. Things are moving on WWE television. Yeah. They're not moving quickly on all avenues, but they're moving and they're heading towards something. And Royal Rumble is the next big stop. Clash of Champions seems like a pit stop, but Royal Rumble is the next big stop. And, we'll be excited for that. There's also Raw 25th anniversary.
Holy shit.
Still not sure if I'm going to that.
You should.
The tickets look insane, I'll be honest. Resale on tickets for these things are not good. I might just go to the house show. But it's, we've got a lot of things coming up, and there's a lot of things that they're building towards.
But you know what is coming up? The year-end list. And so...
Oh, yes.
Are you down to do this next week? You want to do the year-end list next week? Or
what? Next week?
It's December.
We can't wait till the end of Clash of Champions.
What do you... Hold on.
We get a really good match.
Realistically,
do you say that?
You think AJ...
get on Raw, we get this barn burner between Roman Reigns and Elias, and
do you think that AJ Jinder is going for 5 stars at Clash of Champions?
I'm not even saying AJ Jinder. I'm saying there's potentially what Raw's doing right now. They're usually having one great match a show. SmackDown has the potential to do that as well as they're heading towards the end of the year. End of the year shows, especially the last shows, they like to sort of stack up a little bit. I want to say, especially considering I have not watched everything, I would say let's give it another week.
Christmas Day.
Sure. Yes.
Okay, you got 3 weeks, ladies and gentlemen. Get your year-end list. We will be doing a year-end show. I think
100%.
And we'll put it out. We'll put it out the week of Christmas, and we just won't do a show for the rest of that week. And then let's make it a two-parter.
Okay.
We can do that. Yeah,
I'm down with that.
This is what we call planning on the fly during the show, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm down with that.
We'll do several categories, and then we'll have match of the year be our last category for that, and we can argue like me and you have never argued before.
Sure.
Let's do it. All right, there it goes. Do you have a match of the week, sir?
From this week?
Yes.
No. Do I have a match of this week? It's obviously Roman versus Elias.
Oh Lord.
It's really, really good. It's really good.
Oh,
I'll give it Elias. If you like Roman Reigns, it's really good.
I think I've been watching a lot of. I've been listening to Bruce Pritchard's and Conrad Thompson's "Something to Wrestle" Bret Hart episode. It's a whammy. It's a 4-hour episode. Whammy of an episode.
Listen to that.
I've been studying a lot of Bret Hart stuff. I've been watching a lot of Bret Hart matches just to kind of give a visual to the stories that they've been telling. If anyone needs to listen to anything this month, you need to listen to that. And you know how we said the Way and John podcast was the other podcast, the only one you need to listen to. That's the one you need to listen to after that one and after ours. But I would say watch Survivor Series. Watch the Survivor Series match with Bret and Shawn. From 96. 97, I'm sorry, 97. Watch the one from 97. Watch that match again. It's fucking it's incredible. I'm sorry. I know people are tired of the Montreal Screwjob. That match ends so early. That match ends so early. I've seen that match a lot of times. It even surprises me when it ends. Like even I'm like, what the fuck just happened? So yeah, definitely watch that match this week. That's one of my favorites. And then watch some 3-star Elias match where Meelz apparently thinks that he's the next Kenny Omega.
No, I mean, all right. If you, I don't have another match prepared. I'll be honest with you. I don't want to do what I did last week, where I was just thinking of a match on the fly. I don't have another match prepared. It would be poor taste. I really do like going back to this match, but it would be really, really poor taste. I really do like Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Chris Benoit on SmackDown 2001.
Chris Benoit?
100%, yes. Where there was like 10 German suplexes. I know it's in bad taste, but just someone who really just loves wrestling. I love watching that match.
All right. And that's another show. 6th episode of the A Show. Thank you, Meelz, again. Thank you, viewers and listeners and whatever you want to call yourselves. We need to give our fans a name. A fans.
B plus players.
B plus players. That's an excellent one. But we're moving into the final stretch of 2017, and I'm pretty sure these shows are going to ramp up. So if you guys want to talk about anything, argue about anything, hit us up on Twitter at OGJohnny5 and at Meelz TV. That is MEELZ TV. Thank you guys for listening to the show. We really appreciate it.
We're out.
All right. Peace.